What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's a pretty nice day if you are enjoying the absolute failure of establishment media, whether it's The View or CNN today. Both great stories. The View, though, well, let's start with that. Actually, I suppose I don't know what order I'm actually going to upload in, but The View is getting a bit of a turmoil brewing in between staff, as apparently Whoopi Goldberg's threatening to quit, and her co-hosts are furious that the network dared to suspend her for 2 weeks due to overwhelming public outrage of her idiotic statements about what was a motivating factor for the bad guys from WW2. I can't imagine what it feels like. I have a Jewish guy on my darts team, so I asked him about it last night, and he was not happy with her statements. He's actually the only, I think, Jewish guy I've ever met, although I don't go around asking people about that kind of stuff. But I happen to know that about him, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And then he proceeded to go off for about, for a few minutes there. Anyway, so she got suspended last night. And of course, people are saying it's not enough. And the reason they're saying it's not enough is because the standard was set with Roseanne Barr. The standard was set with Gina Carano. Both employees of Disney, whether they're ABC or Disney proper or Lucasfilm proper, the standard was set that you get fired for this kind of thing. I wouldn't have wanted her fired for that. I think her idiotic statements are great. But this is the standard in which they've set. And people are really just asking them to live by that. You can see this on the Daily Wire. So they should fire her. Twitter reacts to Whoopi Goldberg's suspension. Some say it's not harsh enough. Most people are shocked that The View moderator Whoopi Goldberg was reprimanded at all. The 66-year-old co-host is facing a massive backlash after claiming that the Big H was not about race during the episode of the show. Now ABC has suspended her for 2 weeks, but many are saying the punishment isn't even close to appropriate. For one thing, the suspension that's temporary for such an egregious comment only highlights this double standard in Hollywood. The Daily Wire's Andrew Klavan reacted to the news with the suggestion to stop firing people for dumb comments in general. My feeling is, don't suspend Whoopi Goldberg. Simply put Gina Carano back in The Mandalorian and let Kevin Hart host the Oscars. And we'll call it America, Klavan said. Ben Shapiro responded, yeah, they're not going to do any of that stuff, so fire Whoopi. One standard. He also said in a separate tweet, in a sane world, Whoopi wouldn't be suspended, but the left standard is if you say a bad thing, TM, you lose your job. So they should fire her. Mutually assured destruction until you stop with all the nonsense. And I understand why people feel that way. It seems like only one side of the aisle, really, if you're standing even in the middle of the aisle and not way off into the left side of the bleachers, you're taking the L. He wasn't the only one demanding The View co-hosts lose their job permanently. Donald Trump Jr. says, why is it that Roseanne, a Jewish woman, gets canceled for off-color remarks, but Whoopi gets a total pass for anti-Semitism and downplaying the Big H? I can't help but notice that only people on the right face consequences for the mistakes. I didn't think Roseanne is right-leaning. I mean, maybe. I don't think I'm not sure exactly. Whoopi Goldberg shouldn't have been suspended. She should be fired, another said on Twitter. Roseanne fired over a tweet. Gina Carano fired over an Instagram post. Whoopi Goldberg makes insane statements about the Big H and gets a slap on the wrist. Liberal privilege is real. Sources that spoke with Paycheck said that employees and executives at the company are furious over the incident and claim the suspension is only the beginning of her punishment. An insider told the publication that the controversy wasn't going to just blow over. ABC staffers and Disney Network execs are saying that Whoopi went way too far, and board members are not happy with her apology and want a fuller retraction. The word is that Whoopi is in deep S, the ABC insider said. Why does Whoopi seemingly get a pass when others don't? Perhaps this time she won't. Many at the network, including her fellow hosts, believe she is too controversial now for the show. which is interesting, though. Whoopi Goldberg livid, threatening to quit. All that, by the way, if you can join me in between the lines here for just a minute, just hang out in between the lines, right? The fact that she is threatening to quit over her suspension only furthers my position that she meant what she said. She absolutely meant what she said. And then when she went on the Tonight Show with that loser Colbert, she doubled down. Why did she double down? Many say she doubled down. She wasn't actually doubling down. She was just repeating her statement, a statement that she believes. Whoopi Goldberg is livid after she's been suspended. She feels humiliated after being disciplined by ABC executives as she followed their advice to apologize for ill-conceived comments, a well-placed insider told. She feels that the ABC executives mishandled this. She followed their playbook. She went on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and apologized again on The View the next day. But she didn't apologize on Colbert. She also didn't really apologize on she just said like, whatever you say, I'm not going to talk about it again. The source added that Goldberg is taking the suspension hard and says she wants to leave the show. Insiders believe that she's just blowing smoke. Her ego's been hurt and she's telling people she's going to quit. Suspension from The View is like getting suspended from Bravo. The bar is very low. Representatives for Goldberg and ABC did not return any kind of comments. But here you see The View co-host furious at ABC for suspending her. I gotta say, I mean, I think it's hilarious, and I would never call for her to be fired, but turnabout is fair play or whatever however the saying goes. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I actually understand why she's mad. She didn't want to apologize. We all know this. She didn't want to retract her statement because she meant it, and she still means it. Then her bosses made her go on the late night show and humiliate herself. So her pride made her double down there. Then she had to apologize again on the show the next day, and they still suspended her. Like, I actually understand why she'd be pissed. Effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments, ABC News president Kimberly Godwin said in a note to the staff on Tuesday evening. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take some time off to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. She added the entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities. Godwin further said, these decisions are never easy but necessary. While Goldberg's comments do not align with the views, values, or culture of ABC, she added it was important that the View host had a chance to address her remarks on Tuesday's broadcast. I would actually be super annoyed. Like, hey, I apologized not once, but twice on national television, and you still suspended me. But what I thought was hilarious, first of all, outside of her comments, is they went on air today and completely ignored it. The View criticized the Supreme Court justice instead of addressing the Whoopi Goldberg suspension. Joy Behar noted Goldberg's absence before turning to Neil Gorsuch. Did I pronounce that right? Host Joy Behar noted shortly that Goldberg will be back in 2 weeks before delivering into a discussion about a Supreme Court justice. Interesting. I mean, she's just got to be fired at this point, right? I don't really see any others, in a fair world. Gina Carano never would have been fired. Roseanne Barr never would have been fired, and the Connors would have been great. And for a lot of people who don't remember, like the Connors, Roseanne was always a very progressive show that dealt with a lot of real world issues. And it did it in a way that felt natural, didn't feel forced, and was way ahead of its time in doing that. It never felt like I was watching some sort of woke trash. I was just watching a show. And then I think that the new writers, on the show are just ham-fisted. And while there are like kind of funny moments, just because I look back so fondly on those characters, Roseanne's probably in my top 5, definitely top 5 shows of all time. Might even be top 3 of all time. Definitely my, I judge shows Halloween episodes pretty harshly, and Roseanne's probably the number one show with Halloween themed episodes every year. The Simpsons used to be good, Treehouse of Horror, but they're terrible now. Bob's Burgers is always usually pretty good, festive. They do holiday stuff pretty good. Anyway, yeah, don't, if you instead of, let me ask you if you would think this is a win. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. Wouldn't this feel like a win if they just said, instead of firing Whoopi Goldberg, we're just going to bring back Gina and we're going to bring back Roseanne? I feel like that would be a bigger win, but they're not going to do that. A 2-week suspension during Black History Month for Whoopi Goldberg, the disrespect. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.